Alright, more Eald'Narche cheese. First wave is 3 enemies, and Eald'Narche likes 3 enemies when he has Warp, because that will give him more free turns, but unfortunately, I don't think we'll get to take much advantage of that. I'm going to start with Blitz Shear, and that will give us protection against magical brave attacks, which is good to use in this first wave because they do a decent amount of magical brave attacks. And in the second wave, I don't think there's any magical brave attacks. I think they're all physical. Wonder if Galuf would be good for it. Unfortunately, I don't have him. Well, I mean, I guess I could run him at 35 CP, but he won't do enough damage at 35 CP. Unless I run him with, like, other 6 ingot characters. Not 6 ingot, other purple characters. Anyways, no LD on Desch for this. But that's okay, we'll get through it anyways. Lots of splash damage there. It's nice to be able to use Arciela and all her skills again after that TCT Extreme Challenge where we couldn't heal. Speaking of which, as you've probably noticed, I changed the background music because I do not like it. So instead we're going to get some Jeff Plays Guitar, and then maybe I'll put on some boss music for the second wave. Links in the description, of course. And now they'll resummon, but we do so much splash damage that it doesn't matter. Arciela is just going to use Harmonic Displacement for the, well, a little bit for the brave damage, but mostly for the battery. We'll use Vortex to do full damage to everyone. Otherwise, it's not nearly as good as Vortex Plus. Ancient Thunderclap with almost no overflow. That makes me think I should give Desch some Max Brave artifacts. There's so many attack artifacts. I don't know. I don't know. Eald'Narche's biggest problem with keeping him at budget is he's going to run out of skills. But, gotta have some problem, I guess. Unless you're Bosch, then your only problem is Dispel, which is a big problem for many people. The moth should resummon here. I don't know if that moth realizes it, but it's on fire, as are its babies. I think Arciela's debuff has worn off, Speed and Max Brave debuff, but I don't know if I want to waste the Dissension reapplying it, so I'm not going to. Now here I could phase shift and immediately get a Vortex Plus, or I could just use his second skill for one last time. And they're all getting a Bazillion and Brave. But that's okay. That's a little risky, but I think it'll work. Desch can hit them all. And he does. Better to save those plasma strokes for the second wave if I can. We really HP attack Eald'Narche for so little. Oh well, they tried. And phase shift of course deals full damage to all units, so yeah. Thing's almost dead. This would be a terrible time to Omega Javelin, and of course I do. I don't think it even gets a turn. Actually it might get one turn that we can take advantage of. Nope, doesn't get any turns. Big waste of Omega Javelins. Now you might be thinking, but wait a minute, don't you have a good amount of them? Yes, we do, and yes, we will run out. Depending on how soon you just want to lock the enemy in until the end of the battle, you will absolutely run out. As opposed to Vortex Pluses, which will recharge. So you can be a little more liberal with them. Like I am here. Nobody's targeting Eald'Narche, but I just want to get that damage down. This stage only allows for 100 turns, and this wave is pretty beefy. Hey, it's finally okay to miss. Which makes me slightly worried about the turn count in the beginning, but really, Eald'Narche is able to do so much damage, even at 0-3, that it's not going to matter. Or not going to be a problem, I should say. And we ran out of Dissension. So we'll go ahead and use it again. Unfortunately, the HP Silence is kind of a waste on A, due to A having Terror. Oh yeah, and that's another neat little thing about Eald'Narche and Realm for this battle, is that technically, since the enemy's taking 2 turns, 1 turn to battery themselves and a 2nd turn to attack, Eald'Narche and Realm can sneak that extra turn in there. So if you're having trouble with this stage, Realm's banner should be up tomorrow-ish? I don't know, pretty soon. Lost Drago's banner. And then you can get her. And that's a great banner to pull on. I'm definitely going to be pulling on it. I didn't end up pulling on Emperor, since I'm talking about it. I mean, I threw some tickets. I have his stuff, and I do not have him built. I'll probably run a mid-budget for this challenge quest, because obviously I'm going to take Kefka for this challenge quest. In between Emperor, Therion, and Gilgamesh, I know Therion's going to come back for 3 more challenge quests when he becomes the burst character, so I don't feel too bad about investing in him. Gilgamesh I feel kind of silly investing because I don't know if he's going to come back or not. And even then, he's not that great. So I'll probably take Kefka, Emperor with just his EX, as I had all that going into this banner. Although I never did build Emperor, I just had his stuff. I'll probably build him, and then Therion. That's the best way to invest for what I have. Would have been nice to pull an Emperor LD. I think I threw maybe 50 tickets at the banner. But I may have to go without it because you can't pull for everything, as they say. Eald'Narche doesn't care if you break him. Takes the turn anyway. So here I'm using Vortex again, Vortex Plus again, with nobody targeting Eald'Narche. So yeah, I'm being a little more liberal with them. But you know, I don't want to hold on to Vortex Plus forever either, because it really deals a lot of damage, and the debuff allows Eald'Narche to deal increased HP damage. Yeah, I'm checking to see if we have Warp, and there's Warp on A, so I'm going to wait for A to get his turn, and then I will recast Omega Javelin, so we can get the most out of it. Really, Omega Javelin is probably the one you have to be the smartest about. Oh, now I see what I'm doing. Trying to charge that EX up. Now I should Omega Javelin, because I don't think anybody has Warp. There it is. He still had terror on, that's right. I think they both still have terror? I don't know, we'll see. Yep. Arciela dropping their speed is helping a lot here too. The Scorpions can get pretty fast and a lot of turns in a row. As they like to hit hard, so they like to break. Once again, we are focusing one to about half health, and then we will switch to the other. See, without the battery they got on their turn right before, it does very little damage. Anyways, I guess I was talking about Emperor. So yeah, I'm a little sad that I'm gonna likely not go for his LD, because, well, not like sad, but a little bummed, because it's really powerful. And Emperor's HP plus becomes amazing, and I do have a purple Rem, and it would be fun to use them together. But, well, strategically, I think it's going to be better for me to pull Strago over Emperor. Plus, it's a better banner having he has Rem on it, and Emperor's banner is just terrible at this moment. Emperor's banners have historically not been that great. Like, that's the number one reason to not pull for Emperor. His banners. But Strago, he doesn't debuff at all. So he's not gimped by debuff immunity, like how Emperor is. And if I want to go debuff happy, I have Kefka, I have Eald'Narche, I have Arciela, all these characters with very powerful debuffs. Emperor, as much fun as he would be, is a little redundant for my lineup, unfortunately. And again, you can't pull for everything. Gotta skip something. Unless you get super lucky, then you can pull for everything, but I don't know. Sometimes you get super lucky, and sometimes you don't. And for Edward's banner, I did not. And now, we have them locked down pretty good. So, everybody's targeting Eald'Narche. They have multiple turns of Terror, they have multiple turns of Warp. Or stacks or whatever. Not stacks. Yeah, I guess it is turns. Stellar Burst to charge up the EX meter a bit more. My plan, as far as Noctis, is I'm going to swap Eald'Narche for him. So I'm going to have to make sure the enemies don't take any turns, or if they do, that they don't already have Warp and Terror on them. But I mean, yeah, long story short is I'm going to make sure they don't take any turns when Noctis is out. And then I'm going to use the Eald'Narche trick to give my friend Noctis 6 turns instead of 5. So basically, the way you do that is you bring your friend in on the free turn that Warp gives you, and then it doesn't count towards the 5 turns that they normally get. So that's kind of nice. As far as summoning Leviathan, I'm just keeping it as a backup for now, for an emergency summon, in case, like, they're about to take some turns and I don't have Vortex Plus up, you know, stuff like that. But otherwise, the best time to use it would probably be, let's see, when Desch has his EX up, possibly probably with Noctis, because Noctis' biggest problem as a friend unit is he doesn't come in with his max brave buff, so he tends to cap on his extremely powerful attacks a little low. He caps a little low with his extremely powerful attacks. Alright, so we're going to use Eald'Narche's C65 again. And this will give us another 4 turns of terror. How was that the first time? I wasn't really paying attention. What am I doing? But anyways, Noctis. So yeah, like, his Conjure of Meager, his EX, tends to cap without his max brave buff. And so unless you plan on using either the unless you plan on using the non-plus version of his skills, or using his C65 to get the plus version, he's just not going to have it. And it's kind of a waste to use either of those, considering he doesn't have the follow-ups on the non-plus version of his skills, and his C65 uses a turn and does no damage, so it's kind of a waste. So I'd rather just he get his damage capped, but you'll see when I pull him out. More HP plus pluses from Eald'Narche. His HP plus plus is decent. A little bit of battery and then a couple of hits. It's pretty good, especially considering when he came out. I'd say it was slightly above par when it came out. A lot of people were just doing 2 hits with their HP pluses, but he gets battery and 2 hits, I believe, or 3 or whatever it is. And then I think he gets plus 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 when you give him 3 ingots. But I didn't. It'll be interesting to see if I can use Strago or Realm at budget. I was hoping to use more Porum, but it's hard to get when you're running budget teams. It's hard to get everything covered, and then use someone like Porum, who doesn't really do much outside of damage. I mean, he does good damage, but I mean, look at the team now. Like, what if I didn't have Eald'Narche to just freeze the enemies for as long as I have? This fight would not go nearly as well. So now I'm going to use that. So yeah, it's tricky when you're using a budget team like this to use someone who's just going to bring damage to the table and nothing else. So I'm hoping that Eald'Narche will get Vortex Plus up, either on his free turn here, or afterwards, on his next turn. Well, now that I'm using Stellar Burst, he's definitely getting it on his next turn. I'm not going to risk it. So, let's see, they've still got 1 turn of Warp each. Now, one other interesting thing is I would want, when I summon Leviathan, I don't want Noctis in for that, even though it probably would be advantageous to give him more Brave, so he could cap at a higher Brave count, or amount. But then I wouldn't get to take advantage of the free turns he offers, so probably going to try and keep Noctis out of the summon. But, why am I just sitting there? Alright, but one of the things I want to do is I want to make sure there's at least 1 stack of Terror, or 1 turn left of Terror on each of the enemies when I go into summon, so that way Eald'Narche can benefit from the additional HP damage that it offers. Because it offers a decent amount, like 20-25%, something like that. That should be the last round of Terror Warp on B. Or no, just Warp. He still has 1 more Terror. I don't know, whatever. And out comes Noctis. So we're going to start with his LD, as we normally do. And that way, I don't lose any of my teammates behind the person we're attacking. And then Noctis will use Legacy of the Lucii right here, and that will get his BT buff going, as well as deal a good amount of damage. It won't cap though. Yeah, it's not going to cap because they're below 50% HP and bursts rarely cap at that, although Desch's and Peril Enchant is really helping with it. And now, I want Arciela to just use Harmonic Displacement for as long as Noctis has his burst buff up, because it's going to battery him, and then he'll immediately do the attack. Now one of the interesting things is, even though A was broken there, and you'll see this happen again, it still placed Arciela in front of A before moving A back. So you'll kind of see that where B will come out of break. Yeah, it's so weird, it's like, it comes out of break. I think it's Noctis' burst effect doing that. B comes out of break and Noctis breaks him, but we don't move behind A because Noctis is breaking him with his burst effect. So that's a pretty neat thing. And again, I did use Eald'Narche's free turn and pull Noctis out on it. And so Noctis is going to get 6 turns technically, because his first turn didn't count against the friend unit amount. Yeah, see, look at that, Conjurer Meeker capped at 56,000 Brave, which is pretty low, but again, he just doesn't have any max Brave up buffs. Harmonic Displacement, thank you. It's kind of nice though, because, that Noctis is able to break them without us messing up our turn order, because it allows me to focus back and forth instead of just on one of them. So that was pretty nice that it happened. Alright, so I'm going to use his LD one more time. And then I will HP attack is my plan, because the HP attack gets the second set, gets the point blank warp additional attack, which is doing a good 46,000 damage. Maybe that wasn't the right call, I don't know, but in the end we'll still be alright. A is getting really low, I'm starting to get nervous about killing A before B and B enraging. They do enrage, I don't know if it does that much, but they do enrage. There's some bosses where when they enrage, they just go nuts, and you're screwed if they're alive for more than a turn or two. This doesn't seem to be that kind of boss. Or I've just shut them down so much, which could be possible because Arciela still has like 3 or 4 dissensions left, so I can still block them out of HP attacks. And these guys have no Brave and HP attack in the same turn. Sort of moves that they do. And Eald'Narche is back. So yeah, they still have Terror. They don't have Warp. And again, I want Terror on them when we go into Summon, so Eald'Narche can deal the additional HP damage. And I'm actually doing really well in the turn count. So, Eald'Narche, Noctis, I don't know, whatever I did ended up working out. Because we're way below 100 right now, and they're getting pretty darn close to dying. Yeah, I still have 4 dissensions left, so I can just keep them HP silenced, which I probably do here. Nope. I will lose him. Oh, I see. I was debating whether or not to summon there, but I thought, I can get an extra turn and break it probably. And now I will summon. I had been using Blitz Shears because I knew they wouldn't take any turns, and so I knew physical Brave damage reduction would not have mattered. And so I will switch back to Plasma Strokes. I was hoping Arciela would do a little more damage and battery everyone from that, but I think because Leviathan's out, we might not actually... Oh no, we still are. We're still hitting for electric damage and weakness. The electric damage down, or lightning damage down. So A has sliver health left, and B has more, but is low. Regardless, B is still targeting Eald'Narche, so will not take a turn, same with A, but I think A might die here anyways. Nope. Man, talk about sliver health. Dissension, which was not necessarily necessary, but I guess I just wanted to do more damage. Yep, Terror stopped him there. And now, we're going to technically deal less damage because there's no other enemies to splash to, but... Almost died there, right? Just gonna keep using Dissensions if I know me. Yep. I'll get rid of none of those buffs. Oh, okay. And then he'll battery himself and not be able to attack. And with a couple more Dissensions, this is basically over right here. We just cheesed them between Eald'Narche and Arciela. Now I could use Arciela's EX right there, and it might have actually killed him, but we're going to go the safe route because HP Silence has worn off, and he's not locked down anymore. But I think I know what happened there. For whatever reason, my recorder only records a certain amount of time, and then it just turns itself off, and so I caught it in the middle of Eald'Narche's attack. And there it goes. 0 ingots, 0 LDs, all the cheese. I think Ink Welder from the Townberry Troop referred to Arciela as the least skippable unit because she just does so many things. She's not like a jack of all trades, she's like a master of all trades. Artifacts, yay. I actually have some pretty good artifacts for Eald'Narche. I don't think Trey's Sphere was the right way to go, but I was getting the sphere itch, and so I wanted to sphere somebody. As we all do at times. Thank you for watching.